Hey dreamers, and welcome to Dreamers Unite, the talk show for dreamers. My name is Sherry Pullum and I am your host. Thank you. I'll say it the third time. Thank you for joining me once again. I am grateful every time you come to spend time with me because you could be doing so many other things, but instead you are encouraged to come to this channel to manifest your dreams. Well, you are going to receive a great deal of encouragement from this football coach, Coach Kyle Hayes. Let me tell you a little bit about Coach Kyle Hayes. He's been coaching football for 20 years. He has coached in Miami and Orlando high school football programs, and he's also had the opportunity to coach at Florida International Universities. He's been blessed to help a number of high school football players earn college scholarships, with 14 of them going on to play in the NFL. He has recently started a YouTube channel called Coach Hayes Football, where he discusses various topics pertaining to football. He's a coach, a mentor, teacher. He is all of that and more. And I'm going to take some bragging rights. He's my cousin. Coach Kyle Hayes, welcome to Dreamers Unite.
Hey, Sherry, I really appreciate you having me. And, thank you for having me coming on and talking about my dream.
And you are also making the dreams of so many young men a reality.
Yes, that's true. I mean, being a coach and, all guys want to go on and, play high school football and go to college. Everybody has that dream of playing on into the NFL. So, as a coach, you are an integral part in trying to make those dreams definitely come true.
You certainly are. Now, I want to start with you. And your dream. Did you dream of going to the NFL, or did you dream of doing what you're doing right now?
Actually, no. I remember, it's funny, I remember growing up and you did optimism, well, we call optimism, but Little League football in Miami and so forth, and you're playing. And I remember telling my mom one day, you know what, Mom, I want to have a job where I wear a suit. And she was like, huh? And then I got into architecture real heavy, and I did the whole thing with architecture. I went to a magnet program in Miami for architecture and design. I actually ended up going on to Hampton University for architecture. And as you know, most people do switch their major. And I got on into sports, and I ended up with a degree in physical education from Hampton University.
And so then how did the inspiration, the seed to want to coach football?
I've always loved sports, but you don't think of, I guess when you're young, you don't think of the other parts of football for a career. You don't think of coaching. You don't think of maybe football operations. Those things are not publicized, and those things are not celebrated when it comes to sports. All of the different aspects of sports, you only hear about the actual players. So really didn't have any interest, in that essence. But when I got into college and I went on to becoming a physical education major, you're in the sports, you're doing all those different things. And then I coached a little league team called Aberdeen Raiders.
Aberdeen Raiders.
The
Shout
Aberdeen
out.
Raiders. Yeah. So I did that for a very long time, and had a chance to actually be mentored by Allen Iverson's little league coach for a couple of years. And that's what really sparked my interest in the coaching.
Wow, you never know what your journey will be when you just make one small decision or one shift. You shifted from architecture to education, and that changed the trajectory of your life. And then it became all about football. You became very passionate. I'm not going to say obsessed, but I think when we love what we do, we can become obsessed in a positive way. But you became very passionate about coaching football. When do you think that happened for you?
You know what, to say obsessed, you're probably right. It was an obsession. I mean, to be honest, when you find something that you love to do, it does become an obsession because you want to be the best at it. So you spend every waking moment trying to figure it out, learn that craft, be the best at it, and have a full understanding of it. So, I mean, obsession is not a bad word in that case,
It's
I
not a
guess.
bad word. Yeah, it's not.
But yeah,
Listen.
I totally understand what you mean. But yes, and so to answer your question is, I guess when you start coaching, when I started the little league in Virginia, coaching there, I was like, man, this is fun. You get to see the kids perform and play and the joy it brings, and you actually get a chance to see live what you're teaching. It's a little bit different in the classroom, right? But you get to see
Mhm.
human beings performing the things that you're teaching. So I guess that's what kind of sparked it.
So, what does it take to be a great coach? Because you have to be a friend sometimes, you have to be a dad, a big brother, a mentor. It's not just about giving them the technical, right, requirements of playing football. You have to really get inside their head and speak to their heart, right?
100%. I always tell people if you are a coach, you probably spend 10% of your time coaching.
Hmm.
The other 90% is all the other things you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Being a friend, being a mentor, being a father, being an ear, you know, being being a mediator, all kind of things. So you actually spend 10% of your time on the field, but you do so many other things just to help these kids to achieve their dream. And that's the biggest part. So to be a great coach, you have to be all of those other things. It's not just about the X's and O's all the time.
So now tell me a little bit about your newest journey. You started this YouTube channel and it's taking off like wildfire. So you have to tell us about that. Tell us where our dreamers can go to reach out to you, contact you. So let's definitely get that in.
Sure. Well, I'm gonna just tell you how it all started. I guess like most things, and a lot of these, um, I guess these booming businesses have started was because of the COVID-19. We went on spring break to start this thing, and during our spring break, they canceled school. And uh, as most people probably know, coaches don't have a lot of time, so I don't even have cable. I have Netflix and Hulu, and a little YouTube here and there. So because you just don't have the time, right? Now with all of this downtime, I'm flipping through YouTube and I'm looking at different things, and I come across this page of a guy who is doing reaction videos, and that's something I guess maybe some of the younger crowd knows. But reaction videos is a huge phenomenon now in YouTube, right? Where people do something and they react to it. So he was reacting to music videos. So in my mind, I'm saying, okay, this guy has 1.6 million subscribers, and people are watching him watch music videos. And in my mind, I'm like, that's amazing. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking to myself, again, COVID-19 is here, a lot of downtime, a lot of idle time. What if I start reacting to high school highlight films? Because for people who don't know, in April, that time of year is when a lot of kids commit to colleges, right? So they're making their commitments to the University of Miami or Rutgers or wherever, Ohio State, so forth and so on. And so as a coach, I know that highlight films can be pretty boring if you really don't know what you're watching, right? It's just a bunch of guys running around for the most part. So I started doing commentary to these high school highlight films and giving coaching tips at the same time. And I didn't expect it to do what it is doing. Um, I did it really just out of fun and boredom, if you really want to know the truth.
Right.
Sitting around 2 weeks as a guy who's running around 21 hours a day to not leaving the house for 3 or 4 days. I
Yeah.
did it out of boredom. So to make a long story super short, I started these videos and it caught like wildfire, man. And so within our 3 months of being live on YouTube, we right at about 2,300 subscribers. So that's huge.
Yes, that is huge. And not only your viewership and subscribership, I'll say, has that grown, but you are actively helping these young guys reach their dream. You're actually helping them. You're putting them also, right? You're giving them helpful advice and tips on their plays.
Mm-hmm.
You're also connecting them to coaches. You're making connections to coaches, to college coaches. They're reaching out to you. So it really is a win-win for everyone, yes?
Definitely. I mean, like I said, a lot of these guys that I've done, they are high profile guys, but because of them being high profile, it does bring a lot of the college recruiters onto the channel. I know quite a few of them, like I said, been in that business for 20 years. So I've reached out to them, they're subscribers. So they watch this. And what I did to actually even help even more is I've started on Saturdays what I call Subscriber Saturday. So for all of these high school players out here that may not have all of the recognition or exposure as some of these high profile guys, I do one of their videos on Saturday. So, they may be not seen as much or don't get as much publicity as these other guys, but because you creating this network, it allows me to put them on the big screen, and now people are starting to get to see who those guys are. And a little quick testimony: I've had a couple of guys go on, and they've received scholarship offers simply because coaches have had a chance to watch those videos.
Wow, that's huge. Because I know, well, my son is a gymnast,
Yes,
and it's important, right? You have to continue to make videos because that's the way the coaches are able to see your growth and your skills and all of that. So kudos to you for connecting the dots and helping these young kids reach
sure.
their goal and their dream. Let's talk about the 14 scholarships and the young men that you were able to get into the NFL. That's huge, Kyle. Huge.
That is huge. And I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna be very honest when I say this. Uh, for those guys who have made it to the NFL, I've always said this about coaches. If you take credit for it, because I hear this all the time, coaches always say, "Oh, I made that player," and I'm gonna just say this to be very honest. That's very dishonest. You didn't give that guy the talent. That was a God-given talent. What we do as coaches is help them to make the correct decisions, help them put them in places where we instill values, we instill morals, that they will make the right decisions so they can have that opportunity to go to the NFL. And that's really what coaching is all about, because we don't give guys the God-given talent to run as fast as they do, to do some of the spectacular things that you see on a football field. You know what I mean? It's just a God-given ability. But what we do as coaches is that we do help instill the values and the morals and the ethics and different things that they need in order to achieve that level of success.
You are a successful young Black male, and there's not many Black teachers in our country. And our young men, our young Black men, Black and brown men, they need that. They need that kind of inspiration, encouragement from a role model. And you had your own journey because your dad passed away when you were 3 years old.
Yes.
So, where does all this fire, this inspiration come from? And what are you instilling into your own community, and what are you instilling into, or you like to instill into any football player?
Well, I mean, to answer the first part of your question is, like you said, my father passed away at 3. Um, my mother is probably the strongest person that not probably, is the strongest person that I know. Um, she's strong, she's a fighter, and she did everything that she could to raise me as a young Black male in society, and instilled all those values of hard work, dedication,
Yeah,
commitment. I mean, and you know this, you've already said you're my cousin, so it runs in the bloodline. You know what I mean? So it's not hard to explain to you, but to the viewers, those are the values that were instilled in me by my mother, and our family, really, because everybody in our family has those same traits.
that's
That's
right.
just we all have those same characteristics and those same traits. So uh, no is not an option, and can't is definitely something we don't do. So you may get knocked down, but we're definitely going to get back up. And
Yes,
especially if our bloodline and our heritage and our lineage. So and then in the community, you take those same values that you've learned and try to instill them into young men and even some of the young women that you've learned and that you've gotten through your years and put into them because they may not have had that opportunity with their family.
That's
You know?
right. That's right. Because not everyone grows up with supportive parents,
Sure.
whether it's one parent or two. Um, so being open and being available for these young people is important. And making that commitment is important to your students.
I took a young man to the University of Tennessee. Okay. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to embarrass him, but he is one of those 14 NFL guys. But anyway, I took
Yes, yes, yes.
but I
Maybe
did,
he'll
but
come
I'm
on
just
Dreamers Unite. We'll say it then when we invite him on to be a guest.
definitely. But I wanted to say that I took this young man to the University of Tennessee. We had to fly into Atlanta. Okay. And we fly into Atlanta. We drive from Atlanta to Knoxville, Tennessee. And as we were driving, this had to be November, late October, November. As we were riding, I hear him say, "Man, coach, that's a big old dog." And I look, and I'm like, "Man, that's a deer." Now,
Wow.
it sounds funny, but at the time I'm thinking, if he's a kid, he's a Haitian kid, never been out of the city of Miami. We don't have deer running around Miami like most people have deer running in their backyards or they've seen them.
Mm-hmm.
And he's never seen a deer without antlers.
Mm.
So in his mind, it registered as a dog. And so I laughed at first, but later on that night when we got and I thought about it, I'm like, man, exposure is key. That kids are not exposed to a
Yes.
lot of different things. Therefore, it stunts their education. And so to bridge that gap, like I said, it is about exposure. We have to make sure that we expose kids to a lot of different things. Because a lot of people don't know what they don't know. You know,
Yeah.
you don't know that you could be this doctor, or just for like even myself, like I said earlier, I didn't know that there were other options in sports besides being the actual player,
Mm-hmm.
if you weren't exposed to it. So I believe that's the huge thing into bridging that gap. And the second part of that is, as families, you said this earlier, we have to commit to our children. I
Mm-hmm.
totally understand we're working 2 and 3 jobs. I
Mm-hmm.
totally understand that it's a lot going on and you're tired. But some of the biggest mistakes that I see, especially in the high school area, is once we see our kids at 14, 15, 16 years old, we kind of take our hands off of them and
Mm-hmm.
we say, "You got it." Guess what? Just because they're 6'4", 6'5", 280 pounds, they still have a 14-year-old mind. They still need that nerd. They still need the nurturing, and they still need the guidance. And so we can't let them go just because they're the size of a man doesn't mean that they are a man.
I'm going to give you some snaps, some claps, some virtual high fives
I love it.
because, oh yeah, I'm going to boom, boom, throw them all at you. It's not just because they are a certain height or they're a certain age. We can't just throw away the key and say, now it's time for you to figure it all out.
Right. I mean, I say this all the time. We when they go to kindergarten and elementary school, we go to every PTA meeting. We meet with a teacher. Well, guess what? That's when they're being monitored the most.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking after them at 5 years old, six,
Yeah.
7, 8 years old.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when they get to the middle and high schools, there's so many different distractions. There's so many different influences, and now nobody's guiding them. You got the thing of sex, you have drugs, you have peer pressure, you have all this different thing, and
Internet, social
internet.
media.
Oh my God! I mean, so with all of that being said, and now it's like it's free reign, but everybody wants to take care of the baby, but nobody wants to take care of the young man. And so here's the word young man is they're still young, so we still have to be in their lives. We still have to make sure that we guide them through this whole process because it is a lot going on out there. It's a lot of bad influences, a lot of distractions. And we already know, I would say to that all the time, take a second to get into trouble and a lifetime to get out of it.
Kyle, I commend you for that. That's and I'm going to say, I know your dad uh, is smiling. His spirit is joyful. I know that. And I know how your mom is overjoyed and smiling and proud as a peacock, as we all are. But that really is, it's commendable. It really is.
I
Cousin
appreciate it.
or not, if I didn't know you and all I knew was the work that you did, I honor it and I respect it. And I want you to know that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Um, when you face dark days, and we all do, you're trying to inspire these young kids and you're giving. How do you give yourself? So, how do you take care of yourself? And what are some of your self care practices?
Okay. As a coach, you get a lot of those. You get a lot of those. There's a lot of things that happen. And I know, especially on your show, when you talk about dreamers, a lot of times dreamers do things and their things are kind of maybe a downfall. It's kind of maybe hidden a little bit because it may not be on a public stage as of right that moment. But when you're coaching and you lose a big game, this person's mad at you. The principal wants to know what's going on. The AD's upset. Everybody's after you. You know what I mean? So sometimes you have to just take a breath and have real thick skin, especially being in any type of business where you're trying to create something on your own. And
Yeah,
as a practice, what I do, I say to myself, I say, all right, Hayes, I know I talk to myself in third person sometimes. I say, all right, Hayes, listen,
I do too.
you got 24 hours, okay? 24-hour pity party. And on the 25th hour, we're back at it, because you do need that sometimes to release. You do need that time to kind of really think about what's going on, uh, scream into a pillow, whatever it is, when you get those
Mhm.
dark days and things are just not going right. But you have to put a limit on it. You can't use it as an excuse. So I've always said, I just need 24 hours. I don't care how bad anything is. Give me 24 hours, 25th hour, we'll be back at it. And that's just how I look at things. That's how uh, I take on different challenges that go on in my life, in my career, and in my dream as well.
I love that, Kyle. Okay, dreamers, here it comes. I'm taking this nugget from Kyle and I'm throwing it at you. You got 24 hours. When you have a dark day, some bad times, you have 24 hours. Do whatever it is you need to do. You feel, scream, cry, rant, rave, call a friend, whatever it is. But on that 25th hour, you get up and you get out there and you go ahead and you hit the pavement and say, I'm going to go after that dream, that goal, that desire. Here's the nugget from Kyle. Whoop, whoop, catch it, catch it. And I also want to say, so many times our men are socialized not to feel, especially
Mhm.
men, you know, uh, they become desensitized because
Mhm.
again it's that be a man, grow up, don't show your feelings, don't show your emotions, and especially in football. Do you tell your players the same thing? Do you allow them to express their frustration?
Sure. I let them know all the time. Like, I tell players we've been in practices, it's been some tough practices. And I'm not big on quitting at all. Don't
Yeah.
please don't I can't stand quitting. But I do understand when you may have to remove yourself. And so I've had players that just have had a horrible day in practice. Coaches getting on them, I'm getting on them. They can't perform anything right. And I tell them, if you need to walk off, but don't leave the field.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man. If you got to go over there and kick the gate and do what you got to do to get your head right, because you have to release that stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
Because it can cloud your judgment. It can cloud your mind to where you won't be able to put the positive in front of it because the negative keeps jumping in front of it.
That's
So
right.
go do what you have to do to get rid of that. Now, when you come back, let's get going, man. Let's get going.
Yeah, let's get going, let's get going. And you're also not just you walking the walk, you're not just talking the talk.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
not just
asking.
telling them something that you're not practicing yourself.
That's correct. That's
and
correct.
and and that also for them, I'm sure, when it comes from someone that they respect and admire and who's actually living the life that he's preaching and teaching, it makes all the difference. It makes all the difference. What is one of your greatest fears, and how have you overcome it? Or have you overcome it yet?
Um, I guess one of my greatest fears, Sherry, is I don't want to say failure, but I don't want to have any regrets. What I don't want to do in life is I don't want to say the woulda, shoulda, coulda thing, right?
Yes.
I don't want to. So I guess my fear is to have fear. My fear is I don't want to be afraid to try challenge myself into doing something. I don't want to be afraid of trying something new. That's really how the whole YouTube thing started. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not trained in, journalism and broadcasting or anything. I'm a football coach, and I got on there and started talking. It's just what it is. But I thought it was a great idea. Let's do it. And so I guess my biggest fear, is don't be afraid to do things. Don't be afraid to challenge yourself. And how to overcome that, I guess I really don't know except to keep going. 25th hour, let's go.
The
So
25th
it
hour.
is, so it's just that's how I look at it. Don't be afraid to fail, because
Yeah.
you're going to fail. You're
Yeah.
going to fail, and that's going to happen, and that's okay. Keep pushing, keep going, and that's it.
Yes. And the best remedy I've heard often for fear is action. Take action.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, are you living your dream?
My dream was, and I'm gonna say, well, I can't say it was, it still is, but my dream for in this profession of coaching was to coach at the college level, right? And
Hmm.
so, um, I know multiple coaches, and I've done all of these different things. I've gone to camps and made connections, and I never really received that opportunity to coach. Well, I did coach at FIU, which is Florida International University in Miami, for 2 years. Um, but so far as coaching on the large stage, the Alabamas, the Michigan, those kind of things. And so I never received that opportunity, right? And so I do want to say to the dreamers out there that the dream that you have may be altered through your path, or your path of reaching that dream, right? And so, and don't be afraid of that change sometimes, because what you see for you, God may not have for you, right? And so, in saying that, again, COVID-19 has been a terrible thing for a lot of people,
Yes.
but it presented me an opportunity to open my eyes to something that I would have never thought that I would have been able to do. Um, Insofar as doing this YouTube channel, and basically you're broadcasting. And so now my dream has become one of the things of maybe I can be a broadcaster in, I mean, but you never know, because you never know what's in store for you. You never know what how these twists and turns through this journey is where it's going to lead you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
You never know
Well,
what's behind door number 1, 2, or 3. You pick one, it takes you here, there, or the other. So you never know.
yeah. And what I can say is you are already a commentator. You're already doing it. You already have your own channel. You have
Yeah,
your show already. You know what I mean? So
sure.
you got to celebrate that win.
Yes. I did want to say to dreamers as well, as one thing about my dream, I have to say, so far as the college realm and all of that, is a big part of my dream relied on someone else saying yes.
Mm. Hmm.
And a big part of my dream, my for me, in order for me to achieve my dream, somebody else had to say yes. The stars and the moon had to line perfectly for somebody else to say, okay, yes, give you a chance. But with this YouTube channel, I'm in charge of me.
Yes.
If I want to record today, I'll record today. If I don't want to record today, I won't. But I'm just saying, I'm in charge of me. There is no one telling me or giving me a yes or no.
Yeah.
I created my own path. And so for the dreamers out there, go for what you know. Don't be scared to be great. I said my play all the time. Don't be scared to be great.
Okay. Here's a nugget for you. Your life belongs to you. I say that often. So take ownership of it. Don't be afraid to make decisions for you that are going to serve you and your dream and your purpose. You don't have to necessarily, as Kyle said, sometimes our dreams we think are attached to a decision from someone else, or the stars have to be in a perfect alignment, the perfect opportunity. But what I do know is what God has for you, no man, no woman, no circumstance, no anything can stop that. The key is you have to be ready, because you can stop it. You can stop it dead in its tracks if you don't open the door and answer the opportunity. And Kyle, that's what you did.
Yes.
During this COVID season, it's really that there was suddenly a new knock on the door. And what you did was you opened it and you received it.
Yes.
Yeah. I have one last I give you a sentence
Okay.
and you complete it.
Okay.
Before I leave this planet, I wish to
I don't want to be vague. Okay. I wish to accomplish my dream. I wish to um oh Sherry, let me see here.
I know it's a tough one.
It's tough because
It
I'm not,
is. But just go
but
with your first gut.
yeah, I'm gonna tell you what I did. I do. I wish to accomplish my. I wish to accomplish my dream and leave my legacy, like we talked about earlier. And one of the fun things I definitely want to do is I would love to see the pyramids before I leave this earth. Oh my God.
Yes,
And I think that's part of my architecture background a little bit, because I am so amazed at how, that's just some marvel within itself that we're talking about thousands of years ago, and people didn't have the technology and the machinery to put something together the way they did and to line it up perfectly with stars. And they say you can't even put a credit card between the cracks of the rocks. It was that precise.
unbelievable.
So that's definitely something I want to do before I leave this earth. I really do.
I think that is a beautiful dream. And it's what? It's possible.
Definitely.
It's possible. How do we find you, Coach Kyle Hayes?
Okay, if you would like to find me, I am on Twitter. That is Coach Hayes FB. My Instagram and Facebook is at Coach Hayes Football. And on YouTube, all you have to do is type in Coach Hayes Football and make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss any of the content that comes out on this channel.
Okay, and I'm going to repeat that for Dreamers Unite. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that bell so you do not miss any content that comes out on this channel. How did I do, Kyle?
That was awesome. I do want to say this in closing, and this is a quote from our grandfather. My mother has said this to me. Oh my God, I can't name how many times. But our grandfather used to always tell people this, and I'm saying this directly to the dreamers.
Yes.
God helps those who help themselves. It's so true, because nothing's going to come to you sleeping. Nothing's going to come to you sitting on the couch in that sense. You have to take action, like you said earlier. You have to work things. That's the only way your dreams are going to come true. You can wish for them all day, but
Yeah.
until you put action to it, it means nothing.
It's only going to remain that, a
That's
dream.
exactly
And
right.
we're not about that, dreamers on Dreamers Unite. We're not about your dreams maintaining and remaining a dream. So take action. Take action today. Dreamers, thank you so much for joining us, Kyle, Coach Kyle Hayes. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all the golden nuggets. And thank you, most of all, for dedicating and committing your life to a huge cause of serving young people and your community. And you're doing it well. You're doing it well. So thank you.
Thank you. And thank you so much, Sherry. And guess what? I'm glad you're getting a chance to live out your dream of even starting Dreamers Unite, where your dream is to get dreamers to dream even more. So that's awesome. And thank you so much for having me. And you know, I love you so much.
I love you.
And we'll definitely be seeing each other soon again.
See you next time.